Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Real Estate IQ, the show that brings you deep insight into the real estate market. Today, we have a very special show with a very special guest. This is Enrique Teran, co-founder of Avanti Realty, a company that has transacted over $2.5 billion in real estate transactions. Co-founder of TTK Technologies, a technology real estate services company, and co-founder of Portfolio Property Management Services, a true visionary entrepreneur in the real estate sector. Enrique, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for hosting me. Kudos to your show and everything you do. I think you bring so much value to the industry. I obviously follow you and I hear them, and I'm glad to be here and share with your audience today.
Thanks for coming in. Today we have a very important task and a show that our viewers have been waiting for a long time. Today we're going to talk about how to maximize the returns on real estate investments. Nowadays, consumers who buy one apartment and try and rent it out, or hedge funds that buy hundreds of properties that they need to maximize their value, they're all looking for the same thing.
Right.
In your experience, what are some of the things that will help a real estate investor maximize their returns on real estate?
That's a $1 million question, right? And a lot of consumers try to, figure this out. And I really think that the first thing, Ricky, is the team. Right? It's all about who finds the opportunities for you, what is their experience, what are their abilities, and then moving on to who manages that asset for you that can really maximize the value of the actual investment itself.
When you talk about management, exactly what you mean. I mean, most people that have one or two or three properties, they do it on automatic debit to pay the mortgage, and maybe they have a plumber that goes out. Why do I really need to manage?
Yeah, it's very true what you say. A lot of people attempt to manage their assets themselves, and within the real estate industry exist property managers that specialize in managing these assets. And the problem in management, Ricky, is really when something goes wrong, is it handled right? And that's where the biggest impact is. It's not just about paying the typical bills, because a lot of consumers do that, but it's when something went wrong, was it managed correctly and effective so it doesn't cost you a lot of money? It makes it a big difference.
Give me an example. The toilet explodes, or the
Right. So a great example. Let's talk about vacancy rates. I think this is important for the cash flow of the investment.
Okay.
It's important for consumers when they're interacting with managers and their team to understand how good does that property manager occupy properties. Does he have a 5% vacancy, a 20% vacancy? These are key questions which will eventually end up making you more money, because if you're paying your own bills and it's time to rent your property and you didn't call your tenant on time to renew, you all of a sudden got a 2-3 month worth of vacancy, and potentially that can eat all the return of the investment on that side.
So in addition to vacancy rate, what are some of the other aspects that a good property manager would really implement to help you maximize the return on your investment?
So that's another good question. So, the other thing you want to know from property managers, and something that consumers can't do on a one-on-one basis, is does that property management company report to, for example, the credit bureau when the tenant doesn't pay? By doing this, we've seen in our side, and through our technology platforms that automate a lot of this process, you're seeing that as soon as you report a tenant in 30 days that they haven't paid to the credit bureau, you're all of a sudden getting the tenant to actually pay you, and that makes a very, very big difference, Ricky, in your return on investment, obviously, on your side.
Now, a lot of small investors and medium-sized investors, the way they see it is, okay, so these are great benefits, but now I have to pay for something that I don't have to pay. Like, what are we talking about here? What is the benefit financially that I'm getting if I need to pay for a service that I'm not sure if I need?
I internally in our organization, we kind of look at that as if anybody's a cost to you as a consumer, they're not doing their job.
Okay.
Right? A good manager performs. and gives you good returns. So typically when you look at, let's say, a 2-3 year period on a management company that responded right, you will end up making much more money than, for example, yourself dealing with it and not acting on time on vacancies and renewings and all these type of things. So you have to understand that the value might not come within exactly what you do as a consumer, but again, those problems that were negative, that can essentially give you back a good return on that side.
Now, one of the things that is most important to investors is understanding how is my investment doing. And it's a little bit more complex than just adding and subtracting, cash flows. I mean, that's the easy way to do it, but there are cap rates, there are cash on cash rates, there are all these things that can impact an investment. In your experience, what have you manage large and small investors. In your experience, what have they demanded that has really forced you to develop some of the technologies that you've developed?
So that's a great question. That would lead up to that third question I would always ask the property manager. Do they understand these metrics, these financial metrics as you just disclosed, cap rates, ROEs, ROIs, IRRs? I mean, all this is very important because at the end of the day, the key component of a property manager is to perform the asset.
Right.
And these metrics is what gives us the upper level vision that the property manager is doing their job. So we noticed that at an early age when we got into the industry, there's great property managers out there, they do great jobs, but there's no way for them to quantify the benefits they bring to the end consumer. So we had to develop a platform that can actually interpret all the accounting records and bring it into a simple financial metric page where you just see what's my return on the investments, what's my internal rates of returns, how is my investment performing, should I get rid of it, should I keep it, is the main things we were looking for. And we developed it. Some property managers have the abilities, they're very manual in how they do it.
Right.
Some consumers understand how to do this and they're pulling together balance sheets and cash flows.
And on Excel and all this.
And they're spending a lot of time trying to figure out where they're at. We believe that that's something that the consumer should be taken away for transparency and collaboration, and something that the management company can provide. So unfortunately, the industry, Ricky, didn't have anything like that. So, just like on our technology company, we're always thinking about what's missing, what can we transform. We went ahead and built it ourselves,
So, I have this one final question because it's so important and it has to do with transparency.
Right.
So many investors in South Florida don't actually live here. They live thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
They're coming to trust somebody like yourself, a property management company, to take care of their asset. What are some of the key points that you have worked on in your career and in your company portfolio that has really promoted transparency and given a high level of confidence to those international investors to leave their investments in your hands?
Well, that's a great question. We manage more than 300 million in today's markets and asset values. So, the main thing is, one, I'm very transparent in providing all my key metrics. What are my vacancy rates live at any second from my website? I never try to hide that. I think that's an important factor. Two, what are the performance metrics on how the investments are being managed and performed, which give them a lot of ability. Three, we, in terms of expenses, work with our vendors to pre-negotiate preset pricing in bulk side, so our investors then get a huge discount and repairs and all the major things that are happening on the investment side. And those are the key values that we bring into the consumer side in a simplistic way. I mean, there's a lot more that obviously goes on to managing 300 million and bringing this to light, but those are the key things that we're constantly displaying, and we feel collaboration it's just so immense, and Ricardo, in an industry like this. Transparency. Traditional managers, for example, some of them don't have online websites where you can track expenses. Others, you can track expenses, but you can't view what's spent. For us, for example, we take on this task as being audited every single day. The way we do our accounting, it's like we're being audited tomorrow. What is it that we need to do? So in our websites, you have downloadable expense pictures before and after of what happened. You get what was this check used for. Sometimes you have an order that says, hey, pay this person because he did his job to me. We upload the email so they understand their accounting, and being very transparency is very important.
Enrique, congratulations. You have had a very successful career, and the companies keep growing.
Thank you.
I think both small small and large investors are looking to maximize their investment returns. This role of management and how things like minimizing vacancy rates helps you maximize value. This real-time financial reporting and the role of transparency are all key in this. So thank you so much for coming today and sharing this knowledge with us.
Problem.
To our audience, thanks again for following. This was a show you guys asked for and we tried to deliver. Continue to put your comments and questions in the section below and keep your ideas coming. Until next time, have an awesome day.